Right, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Common Sense Guys channel. And today we're going to be talking about, yes, what the fuck is going on with Trump's impeachment trial. I'll use that as an inverted speech marks. Today I've got Ranting Monkey back on again today. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad at all. Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I've got lots of shit that's going on at the minute, but generally I'm doing all right. I can't really complain, even if I want to try.
And it doesn't change anything. Sometimes it can be cathartic, but it doesn't really change anything. So
True. I am trying to get into localized politics, which is one of the reasons why I'm not actually, or I haven't done a video this week so far or last week. Been trying to sort out a localized party to be able to get in the next 2 years to be able to do localized politics. So hopefully I won't be a political YouTuber anymore. I might just be political.
Oh, I need to be careful what I say. I don't want you to be like, well, one time he streamed with this asshole.
It's fine. He's American. Yeah, he has his opinion doesn't matter.
It's his fault. Yeah, there you go.
So I'm not completely lost. I have a basis of what's going on. But from the way that the media are portraying things and the way that, let's say, certain left-leaning people are portraying things on Twitter, you would think that Donald Trump has done absolutely everything wrong in the world at this minute in time by not bringing lawyers or not doing this and not doing that. So what the fuck's going on, mate?
Well, how much do you know? Because Donald Trump is being impeached right now because of a phone call he had with Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Sorry, sometimes my brain's like, I'm not giving you that word. On the phone call, he asked Zelensky if he would look into a couple of things. A missing server from the DNC, and specifically crowdsource, the one who supposedly has it. But he also asked if he would look into Joseph Biden. Well, actually, what he specifically said is the Bidens.
Yeah.
And Biden's son worked for a company named Burisma over in Ukraine, a job he got right after his dad visited there on official state business, and a job he had no qualifications for.
Yeah.
And Burisma ended up getting it looked into by a prosecutor over there. I forget his name. But Joe Biden
is female.
What's that?
Wasn't the prosecutor female?
This one, no. This is I forget the guy's name, but no, it was a male. And Joe Biden has bragged about withholding $1 billion from Ukraine if they didn't fire this guy. So Joe Biden or Donald Trump asked Zelensky to look into this. And there's some behind the scenes stuff where it sounds like Trump was telling them in order for Trump to even call or to get the military aid or to get a White House visit, that Zelensky would have to publicly announce a investigation into the Bidens. Now, this becomes a problem because Joe Biden is running for president against Donald Trump this very year. So Congress is upset about that, at least the Democrats in Congress. And that's pretty much the only thing they're allowed to talk about in the impeachment. They brought up some other stuff, but that's the only thing that matters for right now. They had the trial in the House.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw that shit. I mean, I saw that.
So, yeah, you had the trial in the House where he's found to be impeached, basically. It doesn't mean much. It really doesn't. Oh, shit. Why is this down? Sorry, my pop filter was down. So if I was popping there, sorry, guys. It happens. The impeachment doesn't mean much other than the House is saying we think he's bad. And at that point, it moves over to the Senate.
Yeah.
and we're at the Senate trial right now. And the Democrats are like, we need more information. We need to have witnesses that we didn't call in the House. We need to have documents that we didn't wait for in the House. And that's literally where we are. The president's lawyers, they will get to present their case starting Saturday. And it should be pretty short. They're just going to go, this isn't an impeachable offense. It's not an offense worthy of removing the president, even if it's as bad as you say it is.
Well, as far as I know, in the bill that he was actually talking about, which is to do, I can't remember the actual name of the bill, but as far as I have done my own little bit of research, there's actually a process that's actually put into place already for if he was to breach the idea of withdrawing aid or giving aid back for particular reasons. There's actually, in the Pacific bill itself, there's actually a process or a way of actually punishing the president for it, which isn't impeachment.
It's not in the bill.
Okay.
Or if there is one in the bill, it's not the main one. There's one it's actually U.S. law that keeps them from being able to just wave their hand and go, no, you can't have that, or withhold it past a certain date at the end of our fiscal year.
That's the one.
And yeah, there's a little punishment there. It's not even considered a big deal, but the main part of it is that Trump, even with that, didn't violate that rule. The money was released before the end of the year. Actually, Congress pulled it back and then released it a second time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was released. Now, playing for the Democrat side, let me just give you their argument here.
All right.
Their argument is he was withholding this to help himself in the presidential election, and that by doing so, it was a violation of the public trust, an abuse of power, and therefore he shouldn't be president. They also threw in there because he said he wasn't going to let people who work for him testify. They didn't challenge that. Well, not very many people.
I thought they offered some subpoenas. I know that the House subpoenas are not the same as the Senate subpoenas. They're just basically a case of, we want you to come here, and if you don't, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Well, the Senate is completely different.
No, they actually work under the same rules.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they work under the exact same rules. The House subpoena, they could go, okay, you're not following the subpoena, and then refer it to the Justice Department. And then the Justice Department can prosecute it. Unfortunately for them, the Justice Department works for Donald Trump, and they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to prosecute that. Except typically they still will. And they can also challenge it in court.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to wait. They were desperate to make sure that they could say Donald Trump was impeached throughout this election. They
knew what the foregone conclusion was, because they actually held the power in the House, so they kind of knew, which is why they didn't want to challenge.
I'm sorry, you broke up there. You broke up there.
Sorry, would you say that the reason why they tried to push it through was, and obviously an assumption, but do you think that it could be that the reason why they did that is because they knew that they had the majority in the House, so that they would be able to push it through without any sort of, let's say, rigor of any of the challenges itself, as in like bringing forward evidence and counter evidence?
No, I see what you're getting at there, but no, I don't believe that was the reason. I think the reason they did it was so that they could do exactly what they're doing right now. What they're doing right now is trying to make it look like the Senate won't go get more information that's desperately needed. So, okay. The House could have done this, and it probably would have taken a couple of months in the courts.
Sure.
But when this all started, they started the impeachment back in, what was it, November, late November, early December. They could have.
Yeah.
If you go back, our last major case of this, where you had a president who fought all the way to the Supreme Court, was Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, he was not impeached. He quit before that happened.
Yeah.
But
the same as Bill Clinton, technically.
Well, Bill was actually impeached. He just never was kicked out of office.
Good old Clinton.
Oh, Clinton. Oh, Bill. Slick Willie. They Richard Nixon used to tape everything that was going on in the White House. And this gets found out, and Congress wants these tapes, and Nixon's not giving it to him. He stonewalls it. He actually they challenge him, and he fights it in court. This goes all the way to the Supreme Court. It took 4 months. That's all it took. So they could have fought this, and they could have done it even before the next election, guaranteeing they still had the control in the House to go ahead and impeach him. What I think they wanted to do was push it onto the Senate and be like, why won't you guys ask for more information? See, look how bad they're being by not asking for more information.
Which kind of seems to be what is pulling, at least on the interweb at the minute, with, let's say, leftists in general, as a generalization, where they are saying, oh, you're not asking for your lawyers, you're not asking for, going through this bit, you're not asking for more information and whatnot, you're not producing your witnesses. So it does actually seem that what you just said does seem to be telling with at least people on, again, the left side of politics, Democrats.
Yeah,
it does seem that's working.
It is within their hardcore base. I think the problem for them is they're just boring as hell. They don't have much of a case, and that's not to say they don't have any case, but it's not compelling. It boils down to Donald Trump abused his power to help him in the election, and that's there's not much to it. So yesterday, especially, it was so sad to watch. They just kept repeating themselves over and over and over and over and over again.
I did notice that. I was wondering that if it's a case of them trying to say that what he was trying to do was make him win or have a good chance of winning the next election, how would you be able to put that forward as an actual case if by, let's say, majority, I wouldn't have thought that Biden would have had a chance of winning anyway. I would have thought it would have been more of a Warren and Sanders type of thing. So how would that have even have got anyway? It's all a case of on if, buts, and maybes that he was trying to interfere.
Well, you're not wrong about that part.
In general.
But Biden is the front runner nationally.
Okay.
Biden is the one who now in early states, there's some like right now, I think it's actually Bernie in the last poll I saw for Iowa. New Hampshire has been pretty much Bernie. But once you get out of those two states, those are the first two states we have voting, Biden just sweeps everything. So they're saying that because Biden is such a force to be reckoned with, polls at the time were showing Biden was the front runner. This is back in April.
Yeah.
The Biden is this he is the front runner. He's going to win it all, and Trump just wanted something to stop him. That's a very silly charge, I guess, is what I want to say, because Trump, I don't think, is that worried about any of these guys, and that's not to say none of them have a chance. I don't really think they have a chance, but it comes down to who Trump is.
Yeah, he just thinks that he's going to win regardless anyway. He thinks he's the best in the world type thing.
I'm going to beat these guys. They suck. There's nothing they can do against me. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Truly American.
Yeah, indeed. It's what we are.
I mean, from at least from my point of view, and trying to throw it in as maybe somebody across the pond's point of view, it kind of looks for people that are not, let's say, partisan in their politics. I try and look at both sides. I suppose most people would try and do that, but from looking at it from where I am, it kind of just looks more like a TV trial type of incident, which is more of a case of trying to drag Trump's name through the mud to try and go, oh, he's the only president that's been impeached, blah, blah, blah. I know he's not, but that type of situation.
And again, you're not wrong. That's exactly how it looks to me. It's how it looks to a lot of people. And that's part of their problem. That's you have congressmen and congresswomen, especially in the House, who were elected, and like the first thing they said is, "We're going to impeach this president."
Yes.
Not that they had pointed to anything specific that he had done, just we are going to impeach him
On something.
On something.
Yeah.
And it was a case of
being the most biggest prevalent voice of that, and obviously Pelosi at the beginning, both of them too, and Maxine Waters. Fuck me, I forgot about her.
Yeah. And
yeah, go on, sorry.
It was an impeachment in search of a crime.
Yes.
And they thought it was going to be the Russia investigation, which blew up in their face. They're still trying to sneak that in just a little bit. I saw it mentioned a couple of times yesterday.
Yep.
But yeah, they thought it was going to be that, but it didn't matter what it was going to be, because for some of them, their whole purpose is just to impeach. So it looks like that's what it is, because for some of them, that's exactly what it is.
Can I just take Trump out of the way for an instance? Do you think that, hypothetically, because nobody's going to know either way and whatnot, but do you think that the Democrats would have been like this if, say, it was Ted Cruz that was in, or somebody else that was not Donald Trump? Would you say that they would be so rabid to try and get rid of him, or was this always going to be the plan if a Republican got in? Do you think? Obviously, hypothetical.
My opinion is that this is just how it was going to be if a Republican won. There's a lot of people think now, I think Donald Trump made it worse being him.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because that sounds horrible, but what I mean by that is that his personality is yeah, he's brash and he's unapologetic. I think it might have been a little downplayed if it was somebody else. But no, I think that if Hillary lost, this was always going to be the case. There was this thinking with her that it's her turn. It's her turn. I'm with her. And they were so sure they were going to win. Anybody beating them was going to happen.
If you know everything that's going on with Hillary now, how now that she said that nobody likes Bernie, how let's say more people on the left are now pulling out all of the right-wing conspiracy theories about her, including Tulsi Gabbard putting in "I will not kill myself" in a lawsuit against her.
Well, that is actually made up.
I wish it wasn't, but I kind of thought it would be.
Oh, me too. I wish I was actually in the lawsuit. That would be so beautiful. I think Hillary is one, attacking Bernie doesn't hurt her too much. She ran against him already, and the people who support her over him are still going to support her over him.
Yeah, true.
I think
I find it funny that she just attacks everybody. It's everybody else's fault. Anyway, that's Hillary Clinton. Let's not get onto that one because that's a fucking stream in itself.
That is a nightmare in itself. Yeah, you're not wrong. But I mean, there is an important part to talk about there when you're talking about American politics, and that's normally somebody like her would have just gone away. Whoever loses our presidential elections, you don't hear from them much ever again. It's just like, bye.
Yeah, no, that's true. Especially all the people that were going to be president, Republican or Democrat, as soon as they've lost, they almost fall off of the face of the earth. You don't hear them politically, speeches, or even as senators, mostly. Well,
yeah, most of the people who run here, they end up dropping out of the Senate or the House anyway.
Yeah.
But she's a weird creature in that she's still around.
Sorry, right-wing conspiracy theory. I'm just thinking lizard.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. A little bit of the hiccups there. She is still around, and she's still causing problems. And you and me were talking before the show, and you said you wanted to talk about how the press treats Bernie. And I feel like this would be a good time to bring that up because there's been no greater example of this, no greater example than the last debate.
Yeah.
In the last debate, right before the last debate, Elizabeth Warren's team comes out and announces that Bernie Sanders once said that no woman could win in 2020.
Yeah.
Which is a statement you can't verify unless somebody taped the conversation. And to our knowledge, nobody did that. And this comes up.
He contradicted that years and years ago beforehand, though, even before Hillary, before Warren, before all of that. Like, was it in the 80s or something like that? He was saying that a woman could win.
I want to say it was the 90s, but yeah, it's been a long time ago. He's been supporting the idea that a woman could be president.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, supposedly Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders were having a conversation, and Bernie Sanders said that a woman couldn't be president. Now, Bernie Sanders said that it would be difficult for a woman in this environment.
Yeah.
And that's an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
So we get to the actual debate, and Bernie Sanders is asked if he said that. And he says, no, I didn't say that. And the same person, a news personality, then asks Elizabeth Warren, how did you feel when Bernie Sanders said that a woman couldn't be president?
Fucking hell.
And the entirety of people who heard this, I was watching it, but I wasn't paying attention. I missed that. I heard about it the next day. I'm like, wait, they did what? And I actually went back and watched and went, oh my God. And you can see on Bernie's face at the time, he's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, literally just said, no, I didn't do that. And then going, well, as Bernie said this, it's like, wait, you didn't say this.
Yeah. And it was absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not a Bernie Sanders supporter in any way. My politics and his are like biblically different.
Yeah.
I mean, to points that would be like, oh, wait, those things can't exist in the same universe. But the way the media treats him is absolutely ridiculous. And
would you like me to play that video of him actually?
Oh, if you can, sure, absolutely.
If I can remember how to fucking do this on StreamYard. If I can remember. There we go. I think that's the way I can do it. That should be showing up now.
Yep.
Yep, that's showing up. Good, good, good. Put that full screen just for a second.
Let's talk about an issue that's come up in the last 48 hours. Senator Sanders. CNN reported yesterday that, and Senator Warren confirmed in a statement that in 2018, you told her that you did not believe that a woman could win the election. Why did you say that?
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't say it. And I don't want to waste a whole lot of time on this.
I missed that originally. I'm sorry to talk over it, but I missed originally that she said, why did you say that? She accused him right there too.
Straight off the bat, yeah. Straight off the bat. And don't get me wrong, again, same as you, I don't particularly like Bernie Sanders' politics. I think he's trying to do it for the right reason, so I don't have anything against him himself. I think he honestly feels that he's doing the right thing, so to speak. Still think it's wrong, sure, but I'm sure he's doing it for the right reasons. But he's right there trying to say, look, let's not play against each other. Let's try and pull the Democrats together to try and go against what they think is the biggest threat in America. And apparently nobody wants to do that apart from him. On the Democrat side, obviously.
It's insane to watch.
I find that funny. It is. It fucking is. Oh, let's just get that last little bit over. I think it's only another minute.
Anybody knows that it's incomprehensible that I would think that a woman should not be president of the United States. Go to YouTube today. There's a video of me 30 years ago talking about how a woman could become president of the United States. In 2015, I deferred, in fact, to Senator Warren. It was a movement to draft Senator Warren to run for president. And you know what? I said, stay back. Senator Warren decided not to run, and I did run afterwards. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million votes. How could anybody in a million years not believe that a woman could become president of the United States? And let me be very clear. If any of the women on this stage or any of the men on this stage win the nomination, I hope that's not the case. I mean, but if they do, I will do everything in my power to make sure that they are elected in order to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of our country.
You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
Now that's, I'm sure Monkey would be pointing this out as well. Now that's very important. Now the questioner of the CNN that's doing the debate has now realized that he has said, no, I did not say this. You're calling me basically a liar. I did not say this at all. So she's now recognized that he said that.
Mhm.
Next question.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I mean, what do you do with that? She literally just admitted that, okay, wait, so you're saying that you didn't do it. Okay, fine, I get that. So when you did do it...
When you did this, yeah, how did you feel about that? Yeah, I'd missed that the original question accused him of it right off the bat too, but it's absolutely asinine. It is insane that they treat him this way. And I still feel that part of that is that they blame him partially for the election. There's a lot of people who do that supported Hillary Clinton, and they think that a lot of Bernie bros were upset when they found out Hillary cheated Bernie out of the election. Now, if in all fairness, in all truth, Hillary Clinton was going to win the primary anyway. The dirty stuff that the DNC did to help her didn't really matter. Bernie didn't catch fire till the end, and by then she was going to win.
Yeah.
But Bernie bros were upset about it, and they think that a whole lot of them stayed home, and that's why Hillary didn't win in some places. So they still blame him for Hillary not winning the election.
Even though that he did what? I think it's 26. I think I know it was in the 20s. Different rallies after Hillary won the nomination. 26 or 27 rallies for her. But he never defended her or went and supported her by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously.
No. How dare he? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's oh man. Sometimes I watch our politics and it's just like, oh my God, do you even think before you talk? You know what? There may be some people who were so disgusted by what was done to Bernie that they didn't vote. I don't think it was enough to actually sway the election. Because if you're the kind of person who's going to vote for Bernie based on his policies,
yeah,
you're not going to vote Republican.
No.
You're not going to want a Republican in office. Bernie is very, very, very left.
Yeah, very. But I mean, even the idea of the argument. Now, there is a reason why we say popular vote and not won the vote, especially with the US system, obviously. But Hillary won the popular vote.
She did.
Well, that doesn't mean that she should become president. I'm just saying that she won the popular vote. If people that are trying to say that, well, because she took the nomination from Bernie, that Bernie supporters wouldn't have supported her, why did she win the actual popular vote then? Because they obviously went out and voted for her.
The idea is that they did it in some like Midwest states that she lost, say Michigan or Wisconsin.
Sure.
And again, it's asinine. But I do think that there is a hatred of Bernie for that, including within our press. Yeah. Our press, if anybody thinks our press is fair and unbiased, you're just wrong. They were pulling for Hillary hard, and her losing. And then you see, in most cases, we would just ignore her. Yeah. She was the loser. Who cares about her? Yeah. But the fact that they keep bringing her up and bringing up things like her attacking Bernie, I think that's just, I think it's kind of a fuck you to Bernie for costing her the election. I think they're still on Team Hillary.
Possibly. I mean, I've had this theory for a long while. Obviously, it's just a hypothesis. There is no proof to the theory whatsoever, but hypothesis. I think there are certain groups of people. Now, this doesn't go for the whole sections of people, left or right, but there are certain people that are not religious, but have traded what you would call religiosity for the idea of a particular political faction. whether
Oh,
it be
absolutely.
Hillary, Bernie, whatever, and have turned them into the idolization or the pedestal of their God, if you will, without the godhood. And I think that happens with people like Bernie, with Hillary, with others. Same as Trump, obviously.
Well, and I think the reason you don't see it as much on the right in our country is because a lot of the people on the right in our country are still very religious.
Yeah.
Hillary, I don't know how much, because I agree with what you said. I've been saying that for quite a while. I think for whatever reason, and I'm not the first person to say this, I'm not the smartest person that's ever said this, but humans seem to need something like religion.
Yes.
Not that we need religion.
That type of pedestal is. It's like with sports stars.
Yeah,
how we
indeed.
idolize. We need an idol of some description.
And there's some people who've done that with politics. And so Hillary was she was just the messiah of the moment. And so there are still people hanging on. But that kind of makes Bernie the Judas. That kind of makes Bernie the Judas. He's the one who brought her down in some of their minds.
Yeah.
So it's weird to watch, man. Look, I love politics. I absolutely love it. It's my sport. I love American football as well, but my two main sports are American football and politics. That's what I watch. That's what I get into. And but I've never seen it like this. People talk about, oh no, there were people who didn't like Obama and said bad things about him and crazy shit about him.
Sure.
Same with Bush and Clinton. Yes, that is absolutely true.
Yep.
But to the level we're at right now.
Yeah.
I'm
completely not with you. I've had this conversation with a couple of people on Twitter because that's where all the intellectual people seem to hang out on.
It's in that garbage fire.
Yeah. And we were talking about the idea of if you have a particular ideological flag flying above you, i.e. you're conservative or you're a liberal or you're a Labour or whatever way you want to put it into a bracket or, categorization of, that apparently that as soon as you establish what your category is, your own ideologies and own ideals now seem none and void simply because you're now that category. Like,
yes,
you're a Tory supporter, but you believe in some social reforms and maybe benefits and things like that. But because you said that you're a Tory, apparently you're just scum and you don't like anybody that's anything to do with whatever on the opposite side. And people generally won't even listen to the other person's point of view anymore, simply because you go, oh, he's a Republican. He has no fucking idea what's going on at all.
I don't use Facebook very often anymore. I used to use it quite a bit before I came to the dumpster fire that is Twitter. But it's where I friends and family and people who know me in real life. That's what my Facebook is. And going into the 2016 election, I was still using Facebook quite a lot. And it was amazing to me how many people after Trump won put up a post, if you voted for Trump, just unfriend me now. I'm like, dear God, over an election? Are you insane?
Yeah. I lost a couple of friends over here for Brexit because apparently I was just being xenophobic and had no idea what the hell I voted for and, just being all of the other tropes that come with it.
Yeah.
But, I could say the same thing the opposite way around. But, I never did because I always took persons' ideologies as theirs and tried to understand where they're coming from. But, common courtesy doesn't seem to be a commonality anymore.
Oh, sure. I didn't lose any friends. I didn't vote for Trump. I also didn't vote for Hillary. I voted for my wife. That is absolutely true. I don't generally vote for our major parties because I don't generally believe in the people that are up there.
Yeah.
I think that they're mostly. It turns out with our policies, for the most part, they're all the same. They'll give us different speeches. They might tweak things a little this way. And it's weird to watch. And when I noticed that, that's when I was like, I don't believe in these people. Trump has been a little different. I will give him that credit. But it's like, I'm not voting for these people. I'm going to vote for somebody I would actually like to see leading things. And my wife, I believe in. the first person I ever voted for like that was actually my best friend. And so yeah, people get mad at me though. Like, your vote could have helped, whichever candidate they like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't believe in your candidate. And I see the way you do, and it scares me a little.
Yeah. No, I'm completely like that. When we had the general election in December, in general, yes, general. Yeah, I get it. But when we had the general election in December, I was talking to somebody because I go swimming a lot, and I was talking to an older lady that's always voted Labour her whole life, and she was talking to me in general. And I was saying that I was going to vote Boris for particular reasons and so on. And she was like, well, how can you do that? Because generally I'm dead centre and maybe sometimes lean left, maybe sometimes lean right. It depends on the years and so on and so forth. But I was explaining to her, look, if I take away Boris Johnson's name and I take away the Conservatives' name and I look at their manifesto, I don't see much difference from that Conservative manifesto than New Labour's manifesto 10 years ago. I don't see much of a difference. So all I'm doing is voting against what I would want because of the label above it. And I'm not that partisan. And she looked at me and was like, no, I kind of see your point. He's increasing the NHS, supposedly. He's doing this, he's doing that. So, yeah, there's not much really that's conservative about him. I was like, no, I can't agree with you, which is why I can vote for him. But the point of that is not about what my politics was. It was the fact of how partisan she looked at it. I didn't look at the policies. It was the name and never the policies. And we need to get past that and actually look at policies again, rather than it being name and name recognition.
Absolutely. The place I noticed that the most was with George Bush. When he was president, and I saw so many people who just hated this man, hated him.
Yeah.
And it's like, have you paid attention to the stuff he passes? Because it's rather liberal. A lot of it is rather liberal.
In certain aspects. For social welfare systems, Bush was quite liberal with, but other social rights, not so much. Anyway, carry on.
Well, even for that, actually, he didn't have a bad track record compared to the liberals of the time. Because one of the things that people hit him on is how he treated gays and lesbians. But again, if you look at the time, you go back to this time, Obama, when he ran in his first presidential election, was against gay marriage. The exact same platform George Bush took.
Yeah.
But it was okay that Obama did it, but not that Bush did. I'm like, do you guys even pay attention to what's going on? Because our country as a whole has kept shifting to what we call the left over here. My entire life.
Yeah.
Until Trump. Trump is actually, I wouldn't say that there's a wall there because he's actually kind of liberal too. He's not liberal when it comes to immigration because for some reason, when Trump became president, a whole bunch of people who were against like open borders have suddenly become open border. And that's become the thing. It's like this is a conservative platform. It's like, it didn't used to be.
No. It was
5 years ago,
country platform.
It's what Obama talked about in his State of the Union speeches.
Yep. But Bill Clinton was quite big on the immigration and protecting the borders as well. I think he made a re-inauguration speech as well about it, didn't he? Bill Clinton himself.
Absolutely. And if you can go in and take Obama's State of the Union speeches, and if you told somebody this they've actually done it with people like, who made this speech? And they're like, that was Donald Trump. Like, no, that was Obama.
Yeah.
And it's just it's funny, but it's still a little bit depressing to watch. It's like, you guys just pay attention.
I find it very interesting that when Obama's not in presidency and when Bush wasn't in presidency, them two have been hanging around like Michelle Obama and things like that, passing sweets to each other and so on and so forth, which is fine. It's kind of cute. But if you thought that they were very different on politics, that kind of shows you that they're not, simply because of how close of friends that they seem to be. How similar they are.
Our politicians, for the most part, until of course this with what's going on with Trump right now, they tend to still be friendly with each other. They tend to still be, look, we can be ideologically opposed and we can fight with each other in the House and the Senate, but we can also go out and have dinner together. And it used to be a point of pride for these guys. Now the point of pride is how much they hate the president. And excuse me, I'm so sorry. I have these hiccups now and then, and I apologize for it.
That's fine. No problem.
Now it seems to be a point of pride of how much you hate the other guy. And we've never been that way, ever.
No, that's true. No, you haven't. It's only been recently, especially what brought that to the forefront for me was I'm not going to forget his bloody name now, but the judge that was put to SCOTUS, the Supreme Court.
Kavanaugh.
Yeah, that in itself just completely blew my mind how partisan that ended up being. Not simply because of the cases or anything else like that, but the rationale behind why people chose the way that they did. Not looking at evidence or anything else like that, but simply because, well, he's a Republican, so he's going to do Republican things. So we're going to use this as an excuse. That in itself completely threw me about how politics seem to have changed in America. For myself, it happened loads of times beforehand, but that was what drew it to me.
Yeah, we've had political fights and people who absolutely do hate each other, but it hasn't been on a national scale. It's weird. We've actually had, fights in the Senate and the House and especially in state houses, but it's the overall mood of the country doing the same things now. And it's weird, man. It's absolutely weird to me.
No, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, it's more prevalent in the US, but I can see it in the UK, again, drawing from the recent general election that happened in December. Straight after the general election results were called out, we had people going onto the streets. We had somebody that was in the NHS, somebody that was planning to go into the NHS to be a doctor. And she was saying that if I knew that you were Conservative and you voted for Boris Johnson, I would leave you dying on the trolley. Now, this is somebody that's supposed to be a doctor, that's supposed to have their oath, which completely negates them having any sort of political points or anything like that on who they treat. And she was standing there saying, well, no, if you did this, I'm going to leave you to it. And I've never known how vote in a particular way. Now, don't get me wrong. If you could say that if you voted for Nazis, yeah, I can understand how people would ostracize you and probably say that you're a cunt without no better word to describe it. But for different ways of doing things, like, oh, I want to cut benefits because I think that will get people into work and I think that will do better for the economy and vice versa. That's not something to really fall out over to say that I would leave you to die. I've not understood how that level of vitriol has come from politics now. How so many people have now forced themselves into the realm of politics as well to now give their 2 cents when nobody really gave a fuck 10 years ago.
To go back to what you were talking about earlier, your country is a lot less religious than mine. And so I can see that happening in yours because I do think that for a lot of people, politics has become their religion. Whether it's a certain aspect of politics, your super SJW type. Vegans are probably the easiest example to point out.
Especially in our fucking country, they're now protected like a religion.
I saw that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But and not hashtag not all. Hashtag not all. There's some vain vegans out there. There really are. There was a great article about this one guy who's a vegan, and he said it's really starting to get on his nerves that when people find out he's a vegan, they send him all kinds of DMs telling him, this is where you need to go to be an activist for vegan. He's like, I don't want to be an activist. I just wanted a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it was just great to read. It's like, yeah, welcome to veganism. But the ones who are like that, I mean, it is disturbing how zealous they take their veganism.
Yeah.
But you have that, you have, and yet again, I don't think you see it, especially in my country, on the right so much, because there's still a lot of those people who are every Sunday in church.
Yeah,
They have their deity, where these other people are looking for it. And
I have a question that I wanted to draw on what you were saying on that one.
sure.
Do you think that with the idea of being religious, that religiosity also implies a sense of identity, and with the replacement of religion with politics, that their politics now becomes their identity, and in essence their worldview. So if you challenge their politics, you're challenging them as a person, and that's the reason why it may be so volatile.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's people used to fight wars over their religion. And some, I mean, I guess still do. But I mean, that's how serious religion is taken. And so when you're talking about this, when you're talking about a replacement for that, yeah, you are questioning their God, their whole being. And yeah, I just don't think it's a good thing.
That's the reason, in my mind anyway. I think that's the reason why you have people where you go that you're far left, and I think, or SJWs, that type of situation. But when I talk to certain people, you can go with the fact that they have the same principles. It's how they defend those principles. I think that where people push them further away, as in the zealots or the crazies, if you will, and that works on both sides.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I'm just wondering if the reason why that is the people that are just defending it on political basis, and the peoples that we now classify, let's say, as the crazy, as in the far left, or SJWs, or that type of situation, is that the reason why that they're defending it so harshly or so vigorously, is because that it's now their actual identity.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we're getting into so much trouble being able to talk about the issue of the trans rights, for instance. Now, either or, it doesn't really matter what side of the fence you're on. It's an example of how that's really a battlefield now. You have people that are actually, let's say, experts. I can't remember his name now. Like certain psychologists that are so renowned, they've been doing it since the 70s, that are saying, well, no, we need to have conversations on different parts of it. And they're literally trying to cancel him because they're not doing the political grandstanding that they want him to do, or activists that they want him to do.
Oh, sure, exactly. I mean, he's a heretic.
Yes. Apparently.
That's what it is. He's a heretic. How dare he? There's no other word for it. And you're right. It's their identity. And like I said, wars get fought.
Is the person I was thinking of. Sorry.
Wars get fought over religious beliefs. Yep. And we're kind of at that point. We're not firing shots at each other. We're canceling people on Twitter. We're digging up anything they've ever said on Facebook.
Yes.
Because they said something that disagrees with what I believe.
Yes.
And,
no,
it's amazing how many times I hear the word belief, like when for the trans thing, for instance. Just the other day, Joe Rogan was talking with Barry Weiss, and they were talking about this very insanity. And he goes, "It's amazing to me how many people don't they deny the actual science. Biology is a science.
Yes,
and you can believe that trans is real. Trans is the feeling of just that you're in the wrong body. It's what we used to call gender dysphoria.
Yeah,
and it's this feeling. It's not. Oh, today I want to wear a dress. Tomorrow I probably want to wear pants and a polo shirt. It's not gender fluidity. It's not any of that shit. It's an actual psychological problem.
Yeah.
The people who suffer from it, there's a reason we use the word suffer. But you're not allowed to talk about that anymore. Science of it, you're not.
Well, it's the same thing with climate. Most people would say that the climate is changing, regardless of what degree that people think that it may or may not be, and the reasoning or rationale behind it. We can all agree that it's changing in one way or an aspect.
Sure.
So it's now being used as a point of politicizing everything. Everything's now a point of politicizing. The trans rights issues and the trans issues on biology is now a point of being able to fight your corner to get more stuff for yourself. To me, it seems that humanity in itself, maybe I'm just overgeneralizing everything here, but hear me out just for a second. It seems to me that humanity in itself seems to be turning more to a point of nepotism, where it's more of a case of what can I use to benefit me, even though I'm trying to use it as a guise to benefit somebody else. Because most people that are activists only want it, or seem to, let me be correct in terminology, otherwise I'd be cut to ribbons by somebody else. But seems to be, I'm going to fight for these rights because it benefits me. And I'm going to forget that you're there, as in, let's say, use trans people, for instance, where I'm going to fight for myself to be the norm. But for the norm in society now, that has to move over because I'm the norm. And it kind of really does put their own ideas to the forefront rather than actually taking into consideration the whole of society's. That's why I say or think that it's turning to a more of a point of nepotism where everything's about me and how it benefits me rather than society, where we used to be the opposite way.
I maybe over here we have it a little different. Most of the time that you see, say, canceling, we have to cancel this person. If you pay attention, it's mostly bored white women.
True.
Bored white women who get offended for other people, and it's a form of it's not exactly virtue signaling. It's I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing what you're right in that they're doing it for themselves. This makes them feel like they've done something and accomplished something when they haven't. They
Do you think maybe it's an overt way of saying I'm not what this person is, a way of shielding themselves away from, let's say, somebody who may be racist, because they call them out and try and counsel them? They are now distancing themselves from having that thought themselves in their head. I would never think this way. Honest, that's why I'm canceling it.
I get so upset. Well, I don't want to say upset. I laugh and I point out the problem with it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody, all white people are racist. And when I see that shit, I'm like,
yeah,
stop it. When they say that, I believe that it's their way of trying to put their sin on me. See, if everybody's racist, then it's okay that they feel racist sometimes. If it's everybody, then yeah, it's okay that they're racist sometimes because they can't help it. Everybody is. If other people aren't racist, then they're just kind of a shitbag for being that way. And who really wants to think of themselves that way, you know?
Yeah.
It's a way of putting it onto everybody else to share the sin rather than just taking accountability for themselves.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I mean, we've had somebody called Lawrence Fox that was coming out for stuff to do with white privilege and so on and so forth.
Just read about him this morning.
Yeah. I've been having, obviously, on Twitter, the intellectual heavyweight that is Twitter, having different topics on that issue, where a lot of people are trying to point out that if you're in a westernized area or world, that you're going to benefit from the idea of white privilege. Fine, maybe you are. Does that mean that if I go to a Middle Eastern country or an Asian country or to an African continent country, an African country in the continent of Africa, does that mean that I'm going to have white privilege inherently there, or is it going to be native privilege to the people that are actually already there? And if it's a case of they're allowed to have their privilege because they're in their country, then why is it a problem this way if it actually occurs? Because I've never understood that argument, that if white privilege occurs in our countries, does it not occur in the opposite way?
Is white privilege a thing is a great question.
I don't think it is, but I mean, taking their
no, it is because it's something in our society right now that needs addressed. There was a time when white privilege was absolutely a thing. Our country used to be horrifically racist, horrifically so.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe there was a time that, being white made it so it was easier to get loans. It was easier to go into a store without being harassed, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
What they call white privilege now, though, because you point out, okay, what about this homeless guy over here? What white privilege does he have?
Yeah.
It's like, well, he's still benefiting from what happened before. That's their line now.
Yeah, I have no idea how that works.
The problem with that is that everybody that lives in my country benefits from what came before. Black people in my country benefit from the ill-gotten gains of slavery. They do. We're not allowed to talk about it, though, because reasons.
Yeah.
The notion of white privilege today is absolutely asinine because it doesn't exist. It's a product of a bygone era. Yeah. But I mean, we actually have people in this country that claim that they can feel the effects of slavery. And I don't mean that, they walk down the street and somebody looks at them too long and they must be judging me for being, that's not what I mean. Like their DNA, this is a real fucking thing, guys. You can look it up. There are people who believe DNA was changed by what slaves went through. It's not how DNA works.
Yeah, the trauma is now intergenerational. It now stays with them from their previous generations. The sins of my father are now onto me.
And it sticks in their brain. They have the psychological effects of slavery. I'm like, that's fucking retarded.
It is.
But it's all part of trying to make it evil. Oh, go ahead.
Miles Kingslow for £5 says, hi guys, great conversation. It's funny people talk about white privilege given the Manchester rape scandals.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Amazing in that. Especially as well with just very quickly, and then we'll slip back into where we were. But with the idea of the Rotherham rape scandals that were coming out, the head of the Labour-led council is now being investigated for his own sexual abuse scandals. Right this second, he's being investigated for it by the police. So, shocking, yes, shocking and brave.
God damn. But to the question of white privilege, I actually enjoy the conversation because it's such an easy one to disprove. There are thousands of white people living on the street. It's like, where's his privilege? Where's the one black? I forget his name. He's used to be a YouTuber. I don't know if he still is. He's a fucking millionaire bitching about how horrible his life is and bitching about white privilege. Do you have more privilege than that white guy over there sleeping on the street? And he's like, no, that homeless guy still has more privilege than me. I'm like, if you can believe that, if you believe you living in a mansion, you are more oppressed than that guy living on the street, then you're just an idiot.
Yes.
You're just an idiot. There's nothing else to it.
No, I completely agree with you on that. It's funny because whenever you do talk about white privilege with somebody, generally they go with the idea of the generalization that white privilege exists. Then you start going into, as you did, with different examples of how that's just not true. You're now picking on characteristics of a whole race and applying it to the whole. Now, if you do that by the second definition of racism, that's, categorically stating that you're racist. But put that aside for a second. You then go into now it's inherently white privilege. You now inherit white privilege. It's like, oh, okay. So now because of the way that I'm born, I now get privilege regardless.
Well, it's almost even worse when it comes to male privilege. You want to talk about something absolutely asinine. You get into the literal idea of original sin. Men are just born bad, and we're going to do bad things because we're men. and we benefit from it. Like,
Apparently.
what in absolute fuck are you talking about? And you can get back to the same things, horrible things that have happened to men, the different statistics, things like the chance of dying at work.
Yes, the biggest one. The male suicides as well. Well, suicides in general.
Suicide, yeah. The idea that men just benefit from being men, that somehow society is giving us all this advantage, is nonsense. Provably so.
But that's one thing that I've always found very interesting about the feminism debate in general. They're inherently philosophical. Basically, ideology. I can't speak at the minute for obvious reasons. I'm just an idiot. But I've always found that the idea of feminism, when it comes to the point of the differences between men and women, they always point out the differences between the men versus the women, but they never point out the benefits that women also got as well in different situations, especially how they can use their own, let's say, feminine wilds, and then straight away everybody has a connotation of what I mean by that, to get their own way. Does that mean that that's the correct thing to do? No. Using their own idea in itself, or ideology, is that an example of toxic femininity? If it works one way, does it not work the other? I've always got down the idea of, if you have an ideology, it's a double-edged sword. If it can be used one side, it can be used the other.
Theoretically, you're right. It's supposed to be, and there are a few people who go, okay, there is toxic femininity, and then they'll only talk about like the most crazy bitch you've ever seen. They won't talk about they won't talk about like Cardi B, this chick who brags about having drugged and stolen from men.
Yeah. She's
still treated like a fucking queen. She's still every time she does something, it trends on Twitter. Yeah. This woman's a thief.
Yeah.
And but no female privilege. Nope. There's a lot of privileges to being both male or female.
Yeah.
And same that this goes for white, black, Asian, any group you want to put together. They're going to have something that they're better at than others, and something that they're worse at than others. Doesn't matter how you group them.
No, with you on that one. That's inherently for any sort of skill or talent or trait that you want to put any people or categories of people in. There's always going to be people that are good at something and bad at something, regardless of what genitals they have or what experience they have. There's always going to be differences. The idea is to give everybody an equal playing field, not force equality on them by giving handicaps to the ones that are better than others. It shouldn't work that way.
Torcular just said in Tat, I forget how you say that. Tabula rosa. I forget how you say that. Innate goodness, innate badness, nature, nurture, epigenetics, blah, blah, blah. Play the cards you were dealt and do great things. Exactly. That's the thing. It is amazing how many people you see who, especially in Hollywood, these fuckers, who will preach to you about how horrible people have it. Like, women can't become actors. And it's some actress who's making millions of dollars a movie.
Like, the actual one that's actually receiving an Oscar going, yeah, women can't do this, what I'm doing.
Exactly. Like, you just did it, dumbass. What do you mean? One of the ones that I saw one time, it's this, I think it was a computer engineer. It's a black guy who he thinks we need more black teachers in computer engineering. And I'm not saying we don't. But his reason is because when he was learning, none of his teachers were black. I'm like, but you still did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for getting more teachers of whatever color you want to make. I don't care what color they are. That's my problem. Yeah. Like, I don't give a fuck what color they're. But you're actually suggesting that other blacks aren't becoming computer engineers because they don't have a black teacher.
For the same feelings that they have themselves, they're projecting why others don't on the basis that they feel that they don't, rather than the actual reasons.
Like, you did it. Why do you think no one else can?
Yeah. Have you heard of a TV show called The Real in the US?
I have not. I don't watch
It's
very much TV these days.
it's basically exactly the same as The View, but they're not allowed to have white women on. They're all ethnic women, and the
Oh,
reason for that is it doesn't feel the same as what it does when you have a group of ethnic women than if you have one white woman on the panel.
yeah, that makes no
General
sense.
reasoning. That's generally their reasoning behind it.
I'm not going to say that they're wrong because it's their feelings.
Yeah.
But that's a you problem.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
not-
a discrimination problem.
Oh, it
That's
absolutely
the
is.
point.
I've heard the conversation before that, if you introduce a white person into a black space, suddenly the black people act differently. Well, that's their fault, not the white person.
Exactly. But
And
again, reversing the logic, if you have the double-edged sword, if you put a black person into a group of white people, if the white people act differently, in today's logic, that means that they're racist.
Yeah.
So why does it not work the opposite way around? Or is it a case of people just act differently with different people?
And that's what it is. It's that people act differently, and I wish they didn't. I wish I'm a be yourself kind of person.
Yeah.
I don't care what you introduce, man, woman, black, white. This is me, guys. I'm too old to give a fuck. And when I was younger, I just didn't. But who cares what colors they are? Can they teach? Do they know their stuff? Exactly, Anonymous. That's what it should be. It should be meritocracy. But in this case, I understand people feeling weird or different. And for me, the easiest I can think about it, because if you introduce a new color or a new sex or something like that into a situation, I didn't care. But like if you introduced an adult into the situation, I was like, fuck, I got to be careful what I say. Or introduce a boss into the situation. Okay, I got to be careful what I say. That's the only way I can understand what they're talking about. But I do get it that, it can break up the dynamic a little bit. It can change. Okay, fine. That's a you problem. That's a problem you need to work on.
Do you think that that's something that us as a society or societally now seems to do quite a lot? We don't seem to, let's say, self-criticize. We tend to try and blame, or seems to blame society in itself, that society does this, so therefore it's their fault, rather than going, well, no, it's how you've interacted with society, maybe it's your fault.
No, that's absolutely a thing. Again, it's normal to feel a little bit weird when there's something new.
Yeah.
But we don't teach people, look, just relax, be yourself. Instead, it's like, oh, we need to keep that from making you feel bad. We need to make sure that you feel comfortable and all. You know what? Discomfort is a good thing sometimes. It helps you grow.
I suppose circling that around then, could we take that as an instant for what's going on with Donald Trump and the impeachment process? That, let's say, for instance, theoretically, that maybe the reasons why the Democrats, apart from partisanship, are so against the idea of Republicans or Donald Trump personally at the minute being in charge is because of the fear of the unknown and the fear of the differences, the different ideologies that are on opposite sides, which tend not to be that much different, to be fair.
I see what you're getting at there. I think for the general public, sure. For the people in Congress, no, this is a partisan bullshit. You see this, and we touched on just briefly earlier, but
sure.
I won't even talk to you if you're a Republican. I won't even talk to you if you're a liberal.
Yeah.
You don't really hear that from the higher ups up there when you're talking about the members of Congress. No, this is strictly partisan bullshit from them. They may be feeding into that nonsense. They may be feeding into the public's fears of the unknown. But for them, no, it's partisan bullshit.
No, I can see that. Especially, do you think that the partisanship doesn't necessarily come from the idea of just being partisanship for partisan's sake? that are using it to benefit themselves in the idea of, if I make so much of a racket and get my name out there for going against Trump, then my own supporters or idea of supporters will back me more next time.
Oh, sure. You see that with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the firebrand freshman congressman from where's she at? New York's 14th district. Yeah. The more anti-Trump you are as anybody in Congress, whether you're in the House or the Senate, the more media time you get. The more media time you get, the more supporters you have. So yeah, it's a cycle that feeds itself.
Would that cycle then, as itself, be a self-defeating cycle at the moment because of how, let's say, the majority of Americans would perceive how this is going?
Well, see, that's kind of where we're at right now. Is how is the American public seeing it? We haven't had a poll yet since yesterday. Yesterday was bad for the Democrats. It really was, man. That constant repeating of the same thing. It was not a good show. What they should have done is come in, said what they needed to, and moved on. Simple.
I wonder if they were trying to filibuster to try and make it sound like they've got more evidence than what they had. Because as you said, they did repeat themselves quite a bit, and that's an understatement. So if they would just, as you said, make their case and then go, then they would have been there for what? Probably about 2 hours rather than the whole
2 hours. 2 hours is probably being generous. I mean, well, it depends on how much of the evidence they went over. They probably could have done it within the first 4 hours easily.
Yeah.
I think what they were trying to do is just, it felt to me, and I said this on my show earlier, my mom used to, if my older brother or my younger brother, usually it was my older brother, got in trouble. My mom was one of those people who would just lecture and say the same damn thing over and over and over. And even going all the way back to when I was 5 years old, they would get to a point where I go, Mom, he understands. And I would end up getting in trouble because I've never been able to keep my damn mouth shut. And I'd sit there and argue with it. Look, he gets it. He gets it. And this is what it reminded me of. It reminded me of these people up there scolding the U.S. This is why you should care. This is why you should care. And just repeating it over and over and over again to drive home why you should care.
That's where I was going to go with my next question. Do you think the reason why that they were repeating it so much wasn't a case of it making sure it was repeated in the hearing or the trial, so to speak, but it was actually so all Americans are able to hear what they think Donald Trump's done or is doing?
Yeah, I think it was preaching to them. It was you drill it into somebody's head. It's really an old school way of thinking. Say
something enough times and it stays with you. Repeat a lie often enough and loud enough, it becomes the truth.
There's another paraphrase of that saying.
Yeah.
Repeat it enough times and people will believe it. And I believe that's what we saw yesterday. The problem, Democrats, is that you did it all in one day. You've been saying it for a little bit, but you can't do it all in one day like that. What happens instead is everybody goes, okay, I know what they're saying, and tunes out. We have choices now. There's not just 3 channels on TV.
Yeah. This free word for watching, isn't there?
Well, you might be right there, but we can stream, we can throw in a DVD, we can go play a video game. When I was a kid, man, if something like this happened, that was on all 3 channels and it was the only thing to watch. These days, I mean, everybody has choices. Like, you tune in for just a minute and okay, either you catch my attention or you don't. And there's this one woman, I keep calling her the bald spot woman because I don't know her name. But she had her hair pulled so tight it made a bald spot in the middle of her head.
I'm not saying anything.
I when she came on and started her presentation, I'm watching it. I'm like, all right. She literally repeated the same sentence in a different way, like 6 times within 2 minutes. I'm like, I'm done. I don't care. The problem from the beginning is their case is small. It's not just that it's weak or anything. I mean, they think they have enough evidence, fine, but it's a tiny case. You have a abuse of power because he made this phone call. All right. And
Was
obstruction.
it Steve? No, he made it to congratulate. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And obstruction of Congress because he wouldn't allow people to go up before them. That's a really easy thing to talk about. Like you said, they probably could have covered it all in 2 hours. But instead, they just beat it home, man. It was okay. They had a horse, and it died, and they started beating it, and they beat it until you couldn't even see it anymore. It's just flat ground at that point. They recycled the damn thing.
Do you think that that's actually going to hinder the Democrats in the future? Because that's going to be, especially with people that are not too interested, they're just going to get clip-its or whatever. It's just going to turn people off what they're doing anyway. So would that not be a, should we say, an own goal?
Yeah. We live in an age of sound clips more than ever. And I don't think they got any yesterday. For all they said, I don't think they really got any sound clips. And anybody who goes and watches more than 5 minutes of this thing, they're going to see, they're just repeating everything over and over. I think will it hinder them? I think so. I think they bored the audience away.
Yeah, I kind of get that, because generally when it's in our media, in the UK media, normally when anything's going wrong with Trump, normally it's everywhere, all over. We haven't really been having too much coverage of what's going on in the trial. Normally they would have, something on 24 News or something, or equivalency of, and I can't find anything like that, not because I'm sad, but because I wanted to prove a point to myself that, Trump bad, Orange Man bad. But I couldn't find any on our media. So I'm wondering if even our media is not bothered about this because they see it as a nothing burger, so to speak.
There's nothing new to cover. Real quick, Anonymous says a monk could never keep his mouth shut. Damn, does he have the right job? I know, right? But, sorry, I had to acknowledge that because, you have no idea. At this point, the Democrats try to play up this thing that the Republicans said yesterday. There's nothing new. I'm hearing nothing new. Like, well, if you'd let us have more people to talk, then you'd hear new stuff. Well, okay. The problem again is not that they're not hearing anything new. It's that you're talking for so fucking long and there's nothing to hear. They had 24 hours of opening statement.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. To explain what I explained at the beginning of this in 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous.
And
sorry, I was going to say, have they gone on to any of the idea of how they obtained all of this with the apparent whistleblower or anything else like that? Or has that now been dropped because nobody really wants to talk about the whistleblower or where the evidence actually come from, kind of like the Steele dossier?
Oh, they very much don't want to talk about the whistleblower. If they talk about the whistleblower, they have to actually probably prosecute one of their key witnesses for sharing classified information. Oops.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about the whistleblower because they don't want that to come up and how this all happened. And they really don't want to have to talk about the fact that the whistleblower should have been arrested and charged with perjury.
If that would have happened, then so surely Schiff should have been as well, from literally misreading a fucking memo.
Oh yeah, Schiff doesn't want to bring it up because Schiff was directly involved in this, and that also makes him look bad. Schiff's office was in contact with the whistleblower, and there's no proof of this, but a lot of people think helped the whistleblower fill out the report instead of the whistleblower just doing it themselves. Excuse me, man.
It'd be the first time somebody's done something similar to that, would it?
No, it wouldn't. And the weird thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. Really, there's not, except for the way that he handled it the whole time. Because Schiff is a little shitbag.
Well, he lives up to his name.
Oh God, he does. That man is an embarrassment to our country.
You can agree to that, and I'm not even part of it.
The long and the short of it is, the president's lawyers are going to come up next week. Saturday is when they get to start, and they have a pretty easy job. They really do. One, be more entertaining than the Democrats were. That's not hard. Two, show that this is no big deal. Three, that it's not a constitutional matter. And four, show that other presidents have done it before. Yeah. And he has a pretty solid legal team.
Yes, he does. If they could get Espartine off, then yes, but he's got a very solid team.
He really does. And no matter what you think about defense attorneys and stuff, I mean, he's got a pretty good one. He's got Ken Starr. I don't know if you know this. Ken Starr was the guy who investigated Bill Clinton.
Oh.
He brought him on.
And he's still alive?
Oh, yes, he is.
Okay.
He's too much of a public figure for them to have made him sad. Ken Starr, I swear to God, was just brought on as a fuck you to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Because there's other constitutional and there's other people who could have been brought on as impeachment experts. That was just a fuck you to Hillary. Fuck you to Hillary and all of the people who support her.
No, I'm with that one. I was wondering, with the idea of itself, where you were saying about all that the Republicans' teams or Trump's teams have to do, I was wondering if they were, let's say, to draw it out and ask for more evidence and counter evidence, then surely they could ask to bring their own evidence, as in Biden.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Ted Cruz was on, I want to say it was some Fox show. I can't remember which one it was or who it was.
It probably was a Fox show, to be fair. Probably the 5.
Well, no, it was just one lady. I forget her name. I've seen her before. She's a crazy looking chick. But he said that if witnesses become a thing, what the Senate will do is, if the Democrats get to call one witness, then the Republicans get to call one. And the first name he said, Hunter Biden.
Yeah. Because the whole thing is about him. So why wouldn't you bring him up?
Let's talk about what you were doing for Burisma. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get you on the record. Let's find out how you got your job a couple of weeks after your dad was there on a state visit, you dirty shit.
Well, you were both playing golf with the owner. I mean, that obviously has no bearing on it whatsoever, obviously.
Nuts in chat. I call her Nuts. Sorry, Stargazer Nights. I heard that it's going to hurt the Senate as far as views because they have to start on a Saturday. I think that this is probably going to get more views than the opening of the Democrats, no matter what day it's on. Now, it might not be as steady. People might just see it at the beginning. I just think it's going to be more entertaining, and I think people are more interested in the defense than they are the prosecution, because we've all heard it over here, at least. We've all heard it. And if you watch any political show, if you watch my show, we've been over this shit over and over and over. And there's literally nothing new from the prosecution side. The defense side, how they're going to argue against it. Now this will be the first time we see. So I think that, yeah, me too. I will be here Saturday. Hopefully I'll still have my sleep schedule where it is right now. The audience doesn't know this, but you and I talked before this, and you asked me if I'd come on. I'm like, if I'm awake, because this is a weird time for me to be awake, but I'm actively trying to get my sleep schedule more like this, so I can watch things like the Senate trial.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I suppose the only thing the Trump trial is what do you think is actually going to happen? I mean, I have my theories, but what do you think is going to happen? How do you think it's going to affect American politics in general?
I don't think it will. At least not right now. You do have a group of Republicans coming up who say, we got to act like the Democrats. I don't think that'll happen. Whether you like it or not, Bill Clinton actually did something wrong. So anybody who thinks this is revenge for Bill, it's not. This is a whole new ball game. I don't think the Republicans are going to play that game. So if our next president is a Democrat, I don't think you're going to see them go, well, he did what Trump did. It's time to impeach him. They might make a big deal about it on TV just to point it out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the only thing you're going to see is you're going to see people going, well, Donald Trump was an impeached president. He's got that scar on his record, and everybody's going to be like, nobody cares. Shut up.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. I thought that he wasn't actually impeached. It was only the idea to go forward with the impeachment process.
No, the way it works over here is you get impeached in the House. He is impeached.
Right.
But there's a second part of it, which is the trial, which is actually whether or not you're going to remove him.
Okay.
So he's been impeached. It's basically like being indicted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like being indicted. That doesn't mean you necessarily did something wrong. It means some people think you did, and it's enough to send you to court. So yeah, he's impeached, but it's not going to mean a whole lot. We've had 2 other impeached presidents, and they weren't removed either.
I suppose that's going to be something that Trump himself would use that as a badge of honor rather than a scar on his cell. He'd use that as a badge of honor to rally, surely.
Oh, sure. Like, they took a shot at me, and look how I'm still here.
Yeah.
I said this when they did it. I'm like, this is a mistake, and not for the reasons other people were saying. It's a mistake because you've just took that bullet out of your gun. If they try to impeach him again, it's going to have to be something major. But 2, we know he's not going to be removed. So you just made him 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's going to be a badge of honor for him.
Especially to run as well. He's going to rally any sort of Republican that didn't vote for him before just to spite the Democrats.
Oh, I know so many people, a lot of people in my chats are like, I didn't vote for him before, but after seeing all this crap, I'm going to.
Exactly. I think a lot of people did that for the Conservatives with Brexit as a comparison.
You know, the Brexit votes are kind of people they've called it informative of American politics, because you guys had the original Brexit vote.
Yeah.
And from what we saw on this side of the pond, originally it was like, this is going to be shot down, and then there was this small little point of time. It was like, oh, Brexit's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately the news went back to, oh no, this is going to be defeated. But then it happened, and Brexit won.
Yeah.
And a lot of and then over here you had just the whole time, Hillary's going to win it. Hillary's going to win. Doesn't matter who runs, Hillary's going to win it. And then Donald Trump won.
Yeah.
And now you guys have just had your general election where, again, it seemed for a while, it's like Boris has this, and it's like, no, and then Boris, and he wins, and the people are like, no.
It's also a reflection on Jeremy Corbyn, Bernie Sanders, Boris Johnson, Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. And so we have Donald Trump coming up for the second time, and it will be interesting to see if it follows the same way. I think it will. I really do. Incumbent presidents just tend to win.
I think the Overton window is shifting as well. A lot of, let's say, normies for the internet speak, a lot of normies seem to be rejecting, let's say, the far less version of socialism. I think that's going all over Europe as well. It seems that a lot of parties, because in Europe, a lot of people go, oh, well, socialism is still working. No, the only reason why it is because parties are conglomerating together to form a coalition governments. They're not actually forming their own governments anymore to, beat out the actual ones that got majority overall, which is generally a right-leaning or Eurosceptic party. And yeah, it seems that the Overton window is shifting again, and I'm quite happy about that, as long as it doesn't shift too far, obviously.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that here too. I also think we're seeing a lot of people who are tired of political correctness. That was one of Trump's biggest assets. Is that he's like, I will say what I want, and I don't care what you think. Which is not exactly true. I mean, Trump has apologized for things that he said.
Oh, definitely. Well, one of the things that I've always hated, because our media is horrible for cutting and clipping, almost as bad as your media, and so many people go, "Oh, he didn't condemn Charlottesville." It's like,
oh yeah,
complicity. Yes, I have it saved on one of my videos for work from the news actual bit where he condemns racism and white supremacy.
Yeah,
so don't give me that shit.
Well, I've had arguments with people. He didn't condemn the KKK. There's video of him condemning the KKK.
Yep.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of people who are sick of that shit.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see. Now, I'm not one of those people who thinks he's absolutely going to win. I think he could lose. I just don't think he's gonna.
Oh, there's definitely a possibility. There's always a possibility. Everybody thought that when the polls come out for Corbyn and Boris, everybody was thinking it was going to be a lot closer than what it was. We only thought that we were going to get just enough to be able to put him through maybe a small majority. No, the biggest fucking majority that the Conservatives have ever had in 80 years kind of completely confounded that idea. But that's just the way that the media portrayed it, as well as the way that the internet and Twitter did as well. You had that sort of feeling. But then again, when you talk to people out in the street, people are angry about what's going. Well, I say angry. People are annoyed what's going on and how people are doing this. How, in Corbyn's case, he was coming up and saying, "Well, we're going to give you this, this, and this," and not explaining how he's going to pay for that, and that.
Sure.
And I think that's translating across everywhere now. People are wondering what's going on and actually listening to what politicians are saying now.
Yeah, and over here, I mean, we have our primaries going on right now for the Democrat. If it's Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, Donald Trump will crush them, absolutely crush them, because we are not a socialist country. We have some socialist programs, to be sure, but it's not something we aspire to be. We are a safety net, not a safety hammock country.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from. You actually use the benefits the right way. It's to get people back into work, not to live off of.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the socialist versus capitalist fight would be a great one for our country. I think it would be interesting. Now, if it's somebody like
all over the world,
sure, yeah. If it's somebody like Biden, I honestly couldn't tell you what the hell he stands for.
Contradictions, as far as I've
the only I think he stands for I was with Obama a lot. Watching this last debate, almost every question, well, President Obama had me take care of that personally.
Did he remember where he was?
I don't know.
Okay. If a president doesn't even know where he stands, president-elect or nomination isn't actually even knowing where he's standing to do a rally, maybe he shouldn't be. Maybe.
Sure. I think it'll be interesting, but yeah, it's still up in the air right now. There's a part of me, and I probably won't vote for Trump myself, but I'm probably voting for my wife again.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
If Donald Trump wins, it will be the funniest thing ever. Watching the meltdown will be Glorious is the only word that comes to mind. They've done everything they can to take this.
Can't be any worse than what it was where you had your inauguration. It can't be, surely.
It's going to be worse than that.
Oh,
because you have to remember they've impeached him now.
True. He's now an illegitimate president, even though he was reelected.
Exactly. They just said the other day that the public can't be trusted for fair elections.
Yeah. Somehow the Russians have infected the American people.
Yeah. So
trusted. Yeah, as you say,
it's going to be awesome if he wins. Just because, wow. As upset as they were last time, they're going to lose their shit, and it's going to be beautiful. Just beautiful.
I wonder if, say that Donald Trump does win, and say that it does go to the point of how our Ramonas were, a Pacific group of people where they were just adamantly against and used whatever tactic they could to go against democracy. After a while, at least in the UK, it went to a point of people then turned on the Ramonas, even the Remainers did. I wonder if that's something that could happen in the US, as in people would just go, look, that obviously didn't fucking work. Let's move on and do something else.
Well, I think your situation was a lot more specific.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean that there'll be probably a subset of like, just stop your goddamn whining.
Yeah.
Real quick, I need to correct something in chat. Red Feather says, even if the impeachment goes through, he can still run. Again, the impeachment has gone through. If he gets removed, he cannot run for president again.
Yeah.
He is barred from running for office after that. Dude, I have enjoyed the last hour and wow, we're at an hour and 40. Wow.
Yeah, we got a good one. Yeah.
But I do need to go. I have other things I need to take care of today. I appreciate you having me on, though.
No, I've really enjoyed it. It's actually educational. I don't use that word lightly. I've learned quite a bit.
Dear. The Ranting Monkeys for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, even entertainment sometimes gives you a form of education.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, the biggest form of entertainment is, for me, is always procreation. And that normally has a form of education in it beforehand.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. If you wanted to plug anything or do anything, I know it's normally the reverse way around, but if you wanted to do anything, then feel free.
No, I'm good. I appreciate it, but the only thing I know is my normal show. So
yeah, no, that's fair enough. Tell some of the people that may not know who and what and where and whatnot.
Oh, let's see. What is tonight? Friday. We'll be on Scribe Light's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern time for Lords of the Night.
That's a good show. I like Scribe.
You should come on sometime. It's late for you.
Yeah, it's a bit late, and Mrs. doesn't like stuff like that. But I do very much appreciate you offering.
Yeah, if you're ever up late sometime when it's on my channel, let me know, and I'll pull you on.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much for that. Right, as you said, you need to get off. I don't want to drag you out even longer than what's already been here. Thank you, very much, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time to actually listen to us rant and rave and just generally be monkeys in general. Had to get that in there. But thank you. We're going to get off. Thank you. Speak to you all again. Bye-bye for now. Take care.
Bye, guys.